Defending Grand National Cross Country champion Kailub Russell was determined to get back to victory lane in our last race at Loretta Lynn, but a mid-race crash set him back, and his teammate Charlie Mullins got away with his second straight victory. This year, the 112 does not want to give up the points lead. Hello everyone, and welcome to coverage of the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series presented by Maxxis. This is an AMA National Championship. Jason Wygant, your host for the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer Run in Masontown, West Virginia. We're actually not far from the headquarters of Racer Productions that puts these events on. And the big story coming in, how about Charlie Mullins? Won the opening round, was dealing with some heat from Kailub Russell in the series standings, has responded with back-to-back victories, and he's the points leader, so he gets the first pick on the starting line today. And there's Russell second in the points. He needs a win today, really for his own temper, because these third and second place finishes at the last two rounds have not sat well with him. He is confident in his abilities. He expects to win every time he lines up. And the biggest threat to them so far, you saw the number 4, Josh Strang on the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Yamaha. He has been on their wheels a lot of the last couple of laps, the last few rounds. Let's see if he can take it to the KTM duo today. We're racing for 3 hours here in West Virginia. Man, terrible start for Ryan Sipes. Didn't even get going on the line. A couple of Yamahas bumping and banging around, but it is Russell who's going to steal the whole shot. All Balls Racing going to give him some money, and you do not often see KR with the good starts, but as of late, he's really started to improve that part of his game. I don't think he's really that worried, even if he starts in the back, but hey, you can see a little bit of dust. Oh, Paul Whibley down. That's the other downside when you don't get the start, and that's rare for Whibley to not get it, but Russell knows he at least keeps himself out of trouble by leading these things early. Mullins back in the number 2 spot. I also think Russell's strategy is based on arm pump. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a moment. Jason Thomas, Jordan Ashburn, 3rd and 4th. Adam Benor inside the top 5. Strang and Andrew DeLong have some work to do. Chris Bach coming through. Sipes, who didn't get the bike started. These guys all got it dialed. Our XC2 class for 250s. Oh, and a little bit of jam up there as well. A couple of riders down. Chris Douglas leads them down and into turn number 2. So he's got the digitaloffroad.com Whole Shot Award. Douglas been a pretty strong starter this year. Now it's the 21 of Sammy Evans, West Virginia's own, up front. And you do hear the 2-strokes. They are legal for this class. Ricky Russell and Grant Baylor coming through next in 3rd and 4th. We go back to the XC1 division. Wow, difficult section here as they hit it for the first time today. You don't often see Kailub with the feet off the pegs like that. That's what it takes, at least the first time around when they're figuring out the lines. Mullins in hot pursuit in 2nd. And Jordan Ashburn, who is quietly putting together a great season here. He has been a podium contender more often than not. He's up to 3rd now, ahead of Thomas, who's a rookie in this XC1 division, former champion of XC2. What a charge here by the 400. Tom McCormack, I'm pretty sure, was right there with Sipes, not getting his bike started when the green flag waved, and he was now a top 5 threat, so he has passed a lot of riders early. Russell and Mullins still leading everyone around. Go back to XC2. Evans really good in this technical terrain that we've had today. Douglas still challenging and chasing is what I'm trying to say. Then it's Russell, Baylor, Nick Davis coming through next, and then Lane Michael. Trevor Bollinger going by there, got himself a win early in the season. Russell putting a little distance now on Mullins. Now what's cool about this layout of the schedule in GNCC is that the tracks really do go from less technical to more technical. We start out with the sand in Florida, then we're in the clay, and this year the deep mud in Georgia, but not much elevation change. Then we finally hit some ups and downs at round 3, and there's a lot of tree roots there at Steel Creek. But now that we're into the mid part of the season, it's getting difficult. These back-to-back races here in West Virginia, and then we'll be at Snowshoe next time out. That's the toughest one of all. Lots of hills, the tree roots, but most importantly, I think the biggest challenge is the rocks. And everyone has to work on their game in this type of terrain, and that's where Mullins and Russell, I think, have really improved the last couple of years. They've got natural talent and speed. That's not even an issue. As we go back to the XC2 class, Douglas and Russell battling for it, and you see how difficult these rocky climbs can be. Back to XC1 with Russell and Mullins. Russell has spent some time out west with a new fellow KTM rider, Taylor Robert, who races Endurocross, working on the big ledges and hills and rock sections. Mullins has become one of the front runners and the current points leader of the AMA National Enduro Series, so you know he can handle the tight technical stuff as well. And on days like today, no more struggles with him. They've also become a lot better, I think, in the mud races than they used to be. So there's an all-around game for the leaders as we look at Thomas trying to stay in the hunt here in XC1. And that's what's made it tough. At this point, pretty much any track we go to, it's the same story. It's everyone else, and then it's the 2 KTM riders in front of them. Today, it's Ashburn who's going to try to keep them in sight. As I said earlier, I think Strang has done the best job of trying to pressure these two, but a terrible start today for him. I haven't even seen him much. How about Mullins creeping back into this? Every time Russell opens up about, say, 10, 15 bike lengths, Mullins able to close it back in. And normally it's the other way around. Mullins a good starter, really strong in the early laps. I think that the enduro experience that he has helps him there as far as reading trail. Today, the other way around, Russell getting the good start. And I mentioned earlier the arm pump issue. Russell used to have a real problem with arm pump, and I think that's what held him back early in these races. I told you he wasn't interested in the start. He's got the arm pump surgery that has cured that. He's not afraid to go fast right from the beginning. See if Mullins can stay with him.
Twins have notoriously been very hard on crankshafts because that big long stroke of those 2 cylinders just flexes the crankshaft around. So we were seeing bearing issues. Research development people at AMSOIL could show us that it was likely an oil problem. And they were correct. That was the issue. Instead of having to redesign the engine, I just had to do a better quality oil.
Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL, by Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and by Can-Am. Back to the action here in West Virginia. Kailub Russell handling a very technical rock garden here. Charlie Mullins right on his heels. Well, heck, this whole track is a technical rock garden. Here's Jordan Ashburn. Got it stuck. Good job holding on to the motorcycle and avoiding crash, and then he almost goes down again. Look at the right side of the screen. That's Casey Martinez, your women's series points leader. She's a KTM rider, pointing out lines to the leaders, completely ignoring a third-place rider who's on a Yamaha. Now Andrew DeLong's turn to get through. Yes, Husky and KTM have a relationship, so Martinez cheering him on. Good job by DeLong. Russell is trying to hustle, and that is not easy on this type of terrain, but he's pulled away just a little bit from Mullins, as you can see. It is incredible what these guys are able to do. I mean, you hit one of those rocks wrong, ricochet off, you're going into these trees. And the trees, as always, they don't move. You hit a tree, you're going to hurt yourself. Nice body English there by Ashburn to keep his Yamaha between the trees as well. Mullins has caught back up, kind of stalking Russell now.
Have somebody look at the computer and look at
This is just spectacular to watch. These two, they're the best in the business right now in GNCC racing, and they are putting on a clinic. The fact that they're able to push the pace on such difficult terrain. Normally, when a track's really bad, the riders aren't even really racing each other. They are just trying to survive and get around without crashing. racing their own race, as they say. But today, these leaders are battling each other while battling the terrain. Here's Big Andrew DeLong, real strong kid, making that 450 Husqvarna work for him. No change up front. The hot rod still stalking Russell. Looks like they're both using the low RPM. Make the bike a little bit more predictable over these rocks. And also, when you run a higher RPM, it actually makes the suspension work a little bit worse. It's kind of a strange phenomenon, but it's something to do with the torque on the chain and binding the engine up with crankshaft spinning. That can actually affect the nimbleness of the bike, the gyroscopic forces. Just suffice to say that lower RPM is better in these technical sections, and you hear them both lugging them around today. These guys aren't hitting a motocross style rev limiter pace. There's DeLong digging, man. I think he wants this podium, and he's got a shot at it with Ashburn. So two different battles to watch. Of course, the leaders, the time we see them, it's about this level of distance. You think Mullins is taking a run at it? Somehow, Russell is able to overcome that. And as they push each other, they're getting away from this battle for third.
Sometimes you come across something so different, you just have to stop and check it out. The Rocky Mountain ATV MC website has everything you need, from our huge selection of tires, ATV and UTV accessories, and OEM parts, to our online chat, customer reviews, and instructional videos. Our extensive inventory means most orders arrive in 3 days or less. Get low prices, quick shipping, and incredible customer service. RockyMountainATVMC.com. Get ready.
Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. And by Can-Am. Got some real mountaineers here in the woods. They have trekked all the way to the deep forest, cheering on Kailub Russell, your current leader, and nicely done. Man, that section is so difficult with the rocks. Let's see how second place Charlie Mullins handles it. His dad there on the right, cheering him on. Oh, beautiful. Feet on the pegs the whole time, just working the clutch and the throttle to make sure that bike goes exactly where it wants. You don't want to go too slow through here. Momentum can sometimes be your friend, but obviously you don't want to hit it too hard either. Jordan Ashburn looking good on the AmPro NFAB Yamaha. Here's Russell again. Another rocky section, and it's certainly not level or flat here. Call it the Mountaineer Run for a reason. So you're dealing with ups and downs, off campers, and the rocks. They're already into lap traffic, and on these technical tracks, you're going to run into that more often. More riders will get stuck in more places. And these guys who can handle this stuff are going to catch them. Great riding by Ashburn. Listen how low he is in the RPM there to try to prevent spinning tires. Here's Russell. You hear those guys really lugging the motors. This is one of the sections. The camera doesn't really do justice there. Way off camber there. Wow, that was just a beauty to watch right there. Russell standing up halfway up that hill. That is not easy to have that kind of balance and coordination. And look at Mullins able to do the same thing. Of course, when you stand up, you actually keep the lower center of gravity because then all your weight is on the foot pegs at the very bottom of the bike. Worst case scenario is to feed off the pegs, and then all your weight's just on the seat. And then it's a high center of gravity, really hard to control the bike. So the best in this business, these pro riders, we watch Andrew DeLong now up to fourth. Look at that. Immediately gets the feet back on the pegs as quickly as he can. Just recovers from the bobble, and then keeps the bike driving through the pegs. And you can watch Russell It's impressive. He'll hit gullies and G-outs and rough sections. And same thing with Mullins here, just feet on the whole time. Had to dab a little bit to the left-hand corner, feet back up. This is really impressive to listen to these guys really working the throttle and the low RPM, and I would guess the clutch at times too, to handle these technical sections. Listen to that. You don't hear these bikes lug like this at most of the tracks. Now time to turn it back up. Another lap led for Kailub Russell, and the white flag is out, so time is running out. If anyone wants to catch him, time for a splash of gas and a little bit of water. Now how far ahead am I? 60 seconds. That's got to feel good. We'll be right back.
What do you call a machine that combines precision-engineered handling, industry-leading power, and a rider-focused design? We call it a Can-Am. From the essentials to fully loaded, you'll find that same combination in every ATV and side-by-side we build. And right now, get your own for as low as $149 a month. Can-Am, the ride says it all.
Racer TV is brought to you by AMSOIL, by Rocky Mountain ATV MC, and by Can-Am. Kailub Russell trying to put together a wire-to-wire win here at the Rocky Mountain ATV MC Mountaineer Run GNCC, and honestly, he's been looking for that the last couple of races. Charlie Mullins has tried to keep him honest today. Halfway mark, Russell really put the hammer down, started to get away. Jordan Ashburn has been third all day, but the competition is starting to get closer. More on that in a moment. Josh Strang on a run from the back as we catch back up to Russell and Mullins. Mullins hoping for a mistake that'll let him back into this. Here's third place. And Ashburn has been riding by himself in this position most of the day. You got Andrew DeLong fourth and Josh Strang. They are pushing each other in fourth and fifth and starting to close a bit on Ashburn as well. And that's the difference in having someone to chase. Mullins had it for a while. He was able to stay close to Russell, but once he lost that gap, hasn't been able to make it back. So we'll check back in on third. Now teams have pit boards, of course, no radio communication with the riders, but you've got to think they've told Ashburn, look out, that DeLong and Strang battle, it's not over yet. Man, this track is flat nasty. Let's see how Mullins handles it. Nice line here on the inside, a little bit straighter up the hill. All right, some track radio chatter there. We hear in the background as Ashburn runs that inside line like Mullins. There is DeLong. I told you, not too far back on the factory Husqvarna. And man, for the first time since our opening shot in the woods, we get a look at Josh Strang. It has been a long road for him from the back. Well, what's Russell looking down on? Is he got a problem with the motorcycle? It's the rear brake side of the machine. We'll see if he's okay. Mullins probably doesn't know about that, but maybe there's an opening for him to make a run. Here's Ashburn. Here's DeLong. And here's Strang, and these guys are trying to push the pace 3 hours into a very rough day. These guys are real heroes to have this kind of fortitude. No doubting the determination of any of them. Russell just picking this track apart, making it look easy. Look at the relaxed posture now, up on the pegs. Looks like a trials rider through here now. And that's the advantage of having that big lead, as we mentioned. And now he's out of the woods for the last time. Kailub Russell, not happy the way the last two races go. He answers the call by taking the win here at the Mountaineer Run. But as is often the case, when one of the FMF KTM riders wins, the other one not too far back, second place appears like it will go to Mullins. So they're not able to make up much distance on each other week in, week out in the standings. Mullins won't be happy about second, but it certainly is better than it could have been. Oh, we got a battle going. Strang is around DeLong and Ashburn. And now Ashburn back around Strang, and then is a knockdown drag out through the woods. Bumping wheels, in fact, in that corner. The difference in aggression between these two and the KTM riders. Strang gonna try an outside line with the finish right in front. And it turns into the inside. He is going to steal third. Ashburn trying to get it back. Not going to happen. Oh, Ashburn was in third all day long until the last two corners. Meanwhile, a celebration for Kailub Russell. He's got the victory wrapped up. He's already cleaning up down there in victory lane. We're going to check in on this XC2 battle. Ricky Russell with the #1 spot. And the Reigns Riding University Atlas Cycles back Yamaha man out of the Pacific Northwest has got his second victory of the season. He is a genuine title contender in that class. Here are your AMSOIL results. DeLong, great ride for fifth. He's still learning, rookie in the class. Box 6 on the JCR Rockstar Honda. Thomas Whibley, Sipes, and McCormack round out the top 10. XC2 AMSOIL result. Steve Bollinger up to second. Grant Baylor, last year's champ points leader, is third today. Nick Davis and Jesse Brom round out the top 5. Now we'll go to the point standings in XC1, and we'll show you what we're talking about. Russell makes up a little bit of ground on Mullins. The difference between a first and a second is 5 points. So depending on how the next race or two goes, he could be in position, or maybe he's just hoping for a mistake with his teammates. They have been aces over the last 2 years, these two. Give you the AMSOIL race recap. Bad start for a few guys. Great one for Kailub Russell. You give him a start, well, that's going to make life difficult than everyone else because he's won plenty of races coming from the back. The only rider that could challenge him was his teammate Mullins. Kept him honest for a while. And then Russell was able to slip away, open up a lead of over a minute, and from there he was headed to his 4th victory of the 2014 season. While Russell and Mullins cruised to the finish, Josh Strang charged all the way, and with 2 turns to go, takes third away from Jordan Ashburn. Great racing for everyone here at Racer TV. We'll see you next week.